This TFMR podcast is brought to you by Cyber Metals, a new digital precious metal platform from your friends at JM Bullion. Visit cybermetals.com for more details. Welcome back to your TF Metals Report podcast highlights for the week of April 4th through April the 8th, 2022, a very busy week. Big sell-off again in the bond market this week, rally in the dollar as well, but we had a very good week considering the circumstances in gold, silver, and the mining shares. All of them up on the week. The mining shares doing particularly well as we went into the weekend on Friday. But that's not how the week began. Instead, we had another big, massive raid in both gold and silver. On Monday and Tuesday, we looked at the silver chart as one of our charts of the day back on Monday the 4th. Here's how we discussed it that day. So now look at the damage on the daily silver chart, right? Still trending down, okay? And again, what have I told you? We talked about it last week, and I mentioned it about 10 minutes ago in this podcast. If you are a greedy, soulless, evil banker that's been manipulating this market forever and you do it for your own profit, what are you going to try to do here? Knowing that the large spec net long ratio is 3.7 to 1, and you want to flush them out. Well, you're going to want to reverse that bullish cross from 2 weeks ago. Remember when we got the bullish cross, the green line moving up through the red, we went from 24.80 to 26.20 in 2 days. So if you can bust the 50-day, the green line, and then get enough selling that you can actually break the 200-day, turn the green line over, and by, I don't know, week and a half, 2 weeks from now, bearishly cross it, back down, then by the end of this month, going into expirations, or before expirations, you could get silver all the way back down to 22.50. How many large specs would blow out? How many shorts could you cover if that happens? That's clearly what they're going to try to do. So we'll watch closely. Got to watch that 50-day for support. Got to watch that 200-day for support. As we mention every week, it's not just all precious metals at TF Metals Report. If you're going to follow gold, you got to follow everything. Interest rates, the economy, geopolitics, you name it. Right now, the Fed is talking about aggressively hiking interest rates to control inflation. But the problem, they're never going to get those rates up past the rate of inflation. And all they're going to do is set off a recession. One of the ways you can track U.S. economic growth is through the Atlanta Fed GDP Now tracker. The first quarter is already completed. But that gentleman down there in Atlanta only has U.S. GDP growth at less than 1% for the first quarter. So we're already teetering on the edge of recession. It's going to be a stagflationary recession by the time the Fed gets done. That's all part of what we talked about Tuesday, April 5th. Here's our latest from our little buddy down in Atlanta. Again, we are now 5 days into the second quarter. There's not that much data left. And he's back down now under 1% for first quarter GDP. Won't it be interesting to see where he starts second quarter GDP. Anyway, the Fed now hiking rates, mortgage rates over 5%, and already the U.S. economy is growing at less than 1%. Fed will never be able to raise rates higher than the rate of inflation. Put it all together, and that is the stagflationary story I've been telling you was the ultimate outcome since June of 2020. We often discuss the mining shares at TF Metals Report as well. I post all of my trades and all of my holdings into the forums section so that members of TF Metals Report can look and see what I own. I think that's only fair. Maybe they'll find that interesting. We've been doing that now for over a year. And the feedback's been pretty good. One of my core holdings has always been Franco-Nevada. That company just does great. It seems like all it ever does is go up. It's a good bellwether, though, for all of the mining shares. And man, is it looking good right now. So we talked about that, what the significance is of it making new all-time highs on Wednesday, the 6th. And then finally, like I said, I wanted to show you one more chart. Kind of gives you some idea what I'm talking about in terms of, these kind of double bulls, where the second one is the flag, the handle of the teacup, whatever. This is Franco-Nevada. Franco-Nevada trying to make new all-time highs right now as we speak. Okay, got up there, I don't know, 166, 168 a couple of times, even today. But from my closing high standpoint, anything up above 164, 65 would be new all-time closing highs. You know I love Franco-Nevada. I've held it since I first started buying miners back in late 2015. But this I wanted to show you because this is roughly what, we see playing out in gold on a different time scale. This big bull, teacup, whatever you want to call it, and then the handle underneath that is also a bull. And when that breaks out, then we start talking like in this, we'll be talking like maybe, 200 for Franco-Nevada. Just like when gold breaks out above 2,100, it's going to go to 2,300. Well, if gold goes to 2,300, Franco-Nevada is going to go, 200. You can see how that connects. But anyway, I thought I would end with this chart. One, just because I love the stock and I've owned it, and it's a core holding of mine. But two, you kind of get the idea, from a technical analysis coloring pattern, what I'm talking about. On Thursday the 7th, we continued our discussion of the mining shares. Oh, sure, we looked at the precious metals, and we're hoping for a strong finish to the week, but the GDX was already having a great week. It had gotten trounced early, a lot of momentum and excitement coming out of the end of last week. So Monday, Tuesday, into Wednesday, not so good, but Thursday, pretty good, setting us up for a very interesting Friday as well. Now, the GDX looks better. And this, of course, is probably the most encouraging part of the whole deal, right? Wash back 3 days this week. We're still down 75 cents on the week. We still have tremendous, obviously, resistance between 39 and 39.50. But going back to the 1st of March, that's a pretty clear series of higher lows. This does not look like it wants to resolve, or it won't be forced to resolve for at least another week. But this trend looks pretty good. Even the little pullback Monday and Tuesday after all that, there's a pretty good rally off for those lows last week. From the early morning Tuesday last week at 36.75 to closing at 39.50. That was a huge rally in 4 days. We gave about half of that back, and now it looks like we're moving up again. Okay, I'll take it. And on Friday, April the 8th, we wrapped up the week with a pretty positive day in the precious metals. Gold looked like it finally resolved to the upside. Its little wedge formation, its base that it had been building for the last 3 weeks, so that looks good. Heck, even silver was up on Friday. So we got that going for us as we head into a very busy week next with the inflation data in the U.S., and God knows what the Ukraine situation will bring. The final chart of the week is the weekly chart of the GDX, and this goes back a full decade. And you can see some really nice stuff on here. In fact, this is like chart porn for a technical analyst and really anybody interested in the mining shares. They were solid again on Friday, looking to post their highest weekly close in a year and a half, moving close to that 40 level on the GDX and setting us up for even bigger gains from there. You can see that on this chart. This is a beautiful chart from a technical standpoint. Above 40, we look at 46, and above 46, we look at something like 55. Those are some very nice gains from here. And we expect that to happen as the rest of the year plays out. Thanks again to listening to your weekly podcast summary here at TF Metals Report. Again, a daily podcast summary is something every TF Metals Report member enjoys. It's just about 50 cents a day, 50 cents a day to join us. No time like the present to be a part of the site. It's a real island in a storm of all the craziness. I think you'll like it. Please check us out, tfmetalsreport.com. Have a great weekend, everyone.